wood, your majesty.
Well, that's yet more settlers in the ground.
Riding past a mine, Meave noticed a group of miners gathered around the entrance to a shaft. Frost had settled on their moustaches and beards, suggesting they had been there for some time. The Queen summoned Gabor and asked him to determine the reason for this sit-in. He returned after a few minutes and announced the most curious thing.
They're waiting for the knocking to stop.
Meave's frown prompted Gabor to explain in greater detail.
According to our laws, dwarves can't go into a mine if there's knocking coming from inside. We're obliged to wait for the ruckus to quieten down.
Ah, yes. Our own miners share this superstition.
Reynard interjected.
They say the knocking is that of a treasure unknown, a kind of mine ghost.
With all due respect, your miners are dimwits.
Gabor said, patting Reynard on the shoulder.
Knocking means an imminent and abrupt discharge of the potential pliable energy of rock formations. In other words, ye ken, a rock burst. Except usually it's all done in a day or two, whereas these lads have been waiting going on 2 weeks. Foreman's grown impatient. He'd like to send someone down the shaft, have him see what's at issue, but, well, the code forbids us from doing anything.
If in this manner I can gain favor among your brethren,
Sighed the Queen, dismounting.
so be it. I shall descend and see what the problem is.
The shaft was too narrow to fit an entire army, so Meave and a small unit of men entered the mine, miners' lamps in hand, and hearts in their mouths. The rhythmic knocking coming from the bowels of the mountains distorted. Soon the company arrived at the place that seemed the source of the knocking. Gabor put his ear to the rock and listened for several moments in silence, then struck the wall with all his might. The wall crumbled with a crash, opening a passage into another corridor.
Did you hear something? What was that?
Have it the white of an eye from half a league away.
Who goes there? Drop your weapons!
Nay, you drop yours!
Army's a waste of time for one like me.
Who just grabbed me?
Oh, apologies, Maeve. I thought you were Reynard.
There's a time to reap, a time to sow.
Her Majesty knows what she's doing.
It's late. Again.
A dram of glue, a bit of soldering, a rivet or two, and it's good as new.
Arbalist to your command. Aye.
as is not to reason why.
Reynard! Are we winning? I can't see a bloody thing!
I smell a leak.
Ah!
Wait, you're serious?
Stop! Stop! We surrender!
Both sides were surprised. Both fought in the weak light of torches, nearly down on hands and knees. In the end, the Queen emerged victorious, and as soon as she had returned her sword to its sheath, she asked the new prisoners a question that was on everyone's mind.
Who the devils are you?
The captives looked at each other in disbelief, as if before them stood a ghost. Finally, one of them managed to choke out a response.
Your Highness, we're your subjects.
Meve recognized the accent at once. The men came from Rivia. But what were they doing so far from home? According to the prisoner's account, after the Nilfgaardians' invasion of their kingdom, terrible poverty gripped the land. Seeking bread, some desperate inhabitants had gone to the mountains of Mahakam, engaging in wildcat mining in search of precious ores. Without asking the dwarves what they thought of this,
You know yourself, my queen.
explained one captured Riv.
They guard their treasure real jealous-like, don't care a whit about the suffering of others. They see us starving down in valley and don't lift.
Sadly, the Rivians had dug close to existing corridors. When Gabor destroyed the wall that stood between them and the dwarves, they were convinced they were being attacked by monsters, so they raised arms in self-defense.
Maeve, 'tis a tough nut to ken,
Said Gabor.
but let's nae kid ourselves. These men are thieves, and we must hand them over to the Mahakaman Guard.
So they may do what? Sentence them to hard labor, or hang them at once?
Said Reynard, his usual calm shaken and his voice raised.
These are your subjects, Queen. They coveted their neighbor's goods, true, but only because they had not.
The foreman wished for the knocking to stop,
Said the Queen.
and so it shall. As for you, go back to Rivia, and tell all their queen shall soon return, leading an army.
The grateful Rivs quickly packed up their tools and left the mountains. Meve had no doubt Bruva Hoog would soon learn of the affair and would certainly not approve of her decision. Yet she preferred to face the Elder's wrath than send...
Well, boys,
The sound of approaching hoofbeats made Meve turn to see Reynard spurring on his panting horse, galloping at a breakneck speed toward...
Ill tidings I bring, your grace.
Clearly. Glad tidings never arrive with...
Our scouts captured a Nilfgaardian messenger. He was trapped. When he realized his capture was imminent, he strove to destroy the letters he carried. We would...
Anything of interest?
Yes, there is, I fear. Consider your offer accepted. Direct Meve and her force to the agreed site. We await their arrival. Your reward shall be as agreed. Hail Keritsa.
A traitor. We might have expected as much. Nilfgaard has shown amply that it abides only by the rules it sets. Since they have not proved able to defeat me in the field, in open battle, I suppose the scroll bears no...
It does not, your grace.
The messenger.
Naturally, your grace. Alas, he knows not to whom the letter is directed. He was to leave it in an agreed...
I take it tidings of the whole affair have spread throughout the fort.
Yes, your majesty. The witnesses were too many to keep this fact as...
We must thus assume the traitor in our ranks knows it as well, and will make no attempt to retrieve the scroll. Have we any other...
None, I fear, your majesty. We must be alert. Keep a keen eye on events as they unfold, and exercise great caution in...
Very well. Eyes wide open, all senses attuned. Yours in particular, Rain.
Of course,
My spirit's willing and how, but these damn boots are killing me. There's a time to reap, a time to sow, and a time to die. Aye. Should have listened to me old lady. This harvest will be reaping black-clad heads. My spirit's willing and how, but these damn boots are killing me. My spirit's willing and how, but These damn boots are killing me.
Ever have a stone knock out one of your teeth?
There's a time to reap, a time to sow, and a time to die. Aye.
Bigger they are, easier they are to target. Thing about slings, they hide well.
Ah, should have listened to me old lady.
Ever have a stone knock out one of your teeth?
This harvest will be reaping black-clad heads.
Bigger they are, easier they are to target.
Ah, should have listened to me old lady. This harvest will be reaping black-clad heads. My spirit's willing and how, but these damn boots are killing me.
Bigger they are, easier they are to target.
There's a time to reap, a time to sow, and a time to die. Aye.
Thing about slings, they hide well.
This harvest will be reaping black-clad heads. My spirit's willing and how, but these damn boots are killing me. There's a time to reap, a time to sow, and a time to die.
Bigger they are, easier they are to target.
Aye.
Thing about slings, they hide well.
Ah, should have listened to me old lady. My spirit's willing and how, but these damn boots are killing me. Aye.
Hey?
Ah, should have listened to me old lady.
Ever have a stone knock out one of your teeth?
This harvest will be reaping black-clad heads.
I've hit the white of an eye from half a league away.
Meave's force neared Davor's abyss. Signs of beastly feasting were not hard to find. Countless paw and claw tracks were impressed in the blood-stained snow. Among the boulders, bones picked clean were strewn about. Gascon lifted one from the ground. Meave's soldiers feigned indifference to the grisly sight. They marched on, their stepped rhythm unwavering, a song on their lips. Yet hearing a slight tremolo in their voices, Meave knew they merely sought to drown. A moment later, a commander's horn sounded, the signal to halt. The Queen galloped to the fore of the column and found herself at the edge of a vast, round hole in the ground. She could not see the bottom. Meave drew her reins tight to prevent her mount from taking even one step forward.
What is this? A crater?
A mine of the strip variety.
Gabor explained.
Treasures we picked and shoveled for here. Diamonds. Till we happened on the beasts, that is.
What now?
Orion's a dam. Holds back a lake. If we can break it, water will rush in, fill the abyss and the tunnels from which the beasts emerge. Just need to get around the mine first. Way down's a...
Meave squinted and gazed into the distance. Indeed, there was the dam. And at its foot, a swarm of beasts roiled about. Her soldiers gazed at their queen expectantly, their arms at the ready. She knew well they would rush into battle.
Gabor!
Meave cried out over the whirling wind.
Have you bards here in Mahakam?
Course, your grace!
Then we shall give them good reason to compose this day. On the themes of courage, of heroism, of Lyria! Geoff!
And with that cry, the queen spurred her mount, grabbed a banner, and raising it high over her head, rushed headlong at the horrid swarm.
Here's the way down. We need to break through and destroy the dam.
Left, right, left.
Have her done in a jiffy.
There's a time to reap, a time to sow, and a time to die.
For Rivia!
Again and again and again.
Aye.
An army's a waste of time for one like me.
Your Grace, monsters approach from all sides.
The chase is on! Ow!
Her Majesty is exceptional.
On goes.
Left, right, left, right.
Excellent! The dam's about to give!
And just when you thought things were about to get dull.
Her Majesty knows what she's doing. Yeah, yeah!
It worked! Look at those stunners flounder!
Excellent work!
And indeed, bards sang of this battle soon after. For no claws or fangs could break through the wall of shields the Lyrians raised that day. And no scales could protect the beasts from the Lyrians' stinging arrows and blades.
Fight! Do not relent! Let us show these beasts! It is they who should fear us!
The Queen shouted. In the end, the beasts turned to flee, yet Meave's force cut off any chance of escape. A solid wall of men began to push the monsters ever closer to the edge of Davor's abyss. Pressed from all sides, the horrors began slipping over the... Silence came at last. The Queen stood at the edge of the precipice, breathing heavily, leaning on her sword. From the depths of the mine came muted growls and groans.
Let's flood the damn hole!
Hissed Gabor.
Before it...
A rush of icy water suddenly rose, then just as abruptly plunged into the mine, flooding the pit. And where once lay Davor's abyss, now lay Davor's pond. Meave descended back into the pass, exhausted and covered in beastly blood, yet also exceedingly pleased. Once the Lyrians had put some distance between themselves and the now destroyed monster lair, Meave ordered her men to pitch camp. Then she sent the quartermaster off for food and drink. The soldiers lit campfires, then set aside their weapons. Soon after, lively music and song could be heard throughout the camp.
Your Majesty,
Reynard said from behind Meave's back.
a messenger from the Elder-in-Chief.
The Queen turned to see a dwarf in a richly adorned jerkin and a shako with golden seams. She stifled her laugh into a smile and lifted her chin proudly, expecting praise and a pledge of aid in the war.
My lady, your daring deeds have come to the Elder's attention,
said the dwarf in a measured voice.
He's positively irate and demands an explanation.
Irate? But why? I and my men, we've aided you greatly.
Elder Hoog awaits at the Long Bridge. You'd be wise not to keep him there any length of time.
And with that, all the Queen's enthusiasm for a celebration was instantly gone. She waited until the fires expired and the songs died down,